And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. So do me a favor, hit subscribe, watch, comment, and share with your friends, because again, the stupidity, I'm going to say this every single time that I do one of these episodes, the stupidity, it just doesn't stop. Meanwhile, yesterday, it was announced that the tariffs between the United States and China are going to be lowered and paused for 90 days while more negotiations take place. Now, I want to start with a clip of Hakeem Jeffries being asked about the new 30% tariff and what it shows about Trump's art of the deal. Play the clip.
Leader Jeffries, you referenced tariffs, so I'll allow this to be the last question. China took a tough stance on the threat of increased tariffs from the U.S. They managed to bring that threat down without any real concessions. If you are the Chinese, what have you learned about the art of the deal?
China punked the administration, and the administration backed down. That's no surprise, because we've seen that happen over and over and over again.
I mean, let me be clear about something. Anybody who thinks that the United States is winning this trade war with China, not true. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. But before I do that, I want to contrast with a clip of one of the dumbest guys on television, Scott Jennings, on CNN, saying that China, get a load of this shit, that China admitted that they saw Biden as weak.
You want to jump in? I see you.
This whole idea that he's weak on China. Did you not read the news about what Secretary Bessent found out in these meetings, that during the Biden administration, the Chinese officials said, yeah, we knew we could ignore Biden. We could ignore whatever agreements we had because he was too weak and would never, ever stand up to us or stop us. Now they've been drugged to the table by a strong American president. And for all the talk from China, from Beijing, oh, we're going to outlast the Americans. We're fortified to outlast the Americans. A few days into this, they're in Switzerland, cutting the beginnings of a deal that's going to be good for the United States, admitting some of the things that they have to admit in order to get a more balanced situation with us. This is a total win for the president, and it's a total win for the rock star Scott Bessent, who goes overseas and pulls an amazing rabbit out of a hat. But do not forget, they told him we ignored Biden because he was so weak and we could afford to do it.
You know you're losing when you have to bring Joe Biden into the narrative.
I didn't say it. The Chinese did.
No,
they are losing. I agree with you. The Chinese are losing.
The reality
they brought it up.
No, the reality is when you have to make your point,
they brought it up.
Refer it back to Joe Biden.
It's not me. It's
what
them.
is happening is not working in your favor.
Nah.
This is not the flex that they think it is because Trump and Bessent reached this new deal with China, making any major concessions. I mean, let me show you part of my recent Substack, all right? Let me show you what I turned around and I said. In it, I turned around, and again, this is from the one that's currently out, The Infomercial Presidency Hits Riyadh. Let's talk about China. Remember this, in April, Trump puffed out his chest and he declared he was not like the presidents before him. No more caving to China. No more fake toughness. They are ripping us off like no one has ever seen before. He promised big, beautiful tariffs that would force Xi Jinping to heel, swore there would be no blinking, no bluffing. Well, fast forward a mere 30 days later, and guess what? The man folded like a cheap suit made in, well, where else? China. And as The Atlantic recently laid out, Trump's big trade war bluff was called. And guess who won? Spoiler, it wasn't the American worker. The Wall Street Journal reported that U.S. importers are now scrambling, warning of a summer filled with price hikes and product shortages. Shelves are going to go bare at big box stores across the country. And the tariff tit for tat is already hitting U.S. consumers right in the pocket. So let me go back and ask you, who's winning this? Is Hakeem Jeffries right? Caitlin Collins then asked Trade Representative Jamieson Greer if the new tariff was actually worth what's going to be known as consumer pain. Play that clip.
Well, I asked because given over the last month, obviously American businesses, American consumers have been looking at this trade war with China in particular and asking what it means for them and their bottom line. And if there were no major concessions made in Geneva by the Chinese officials, some businesses may ask, was this last month worth the pain that it caused?
So again, Caitlin, I would just point out it's the Chinese that really caused this pain. Every other country in the world, when we imposed tariffs, understood we're trying to deal with a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, the largest in human history that we inherited from the Biden administration. It was only China that decided to escalate, and therefore we had to escalate as well. And now we got to a position with the Chinese where we understand each other much better. They understand our problem, we understand their views, so we can get back to the normal program we're having with these other countries who are negotiating with us, which is to have a 10% baseline with the possibility of the tariffs going back up if we don't reach an agreement. So now they're just coming into the fold with the rest of the countries.
Again, completely untrue. How dangerous is it when your U.S. trade rep, when the administration so blatantly and boldly lie to the American people on the news? Now, I want to show you a few more clips from CNN. Natasha Sarin, former Treasury Department official under Biden, broke down how much the new tariff actually changes things. Play that clip.
Let's just start with some numbers about where we are today relative to where we were on Friday. So today we have effective tariff rates in this country. The budget lab at Yale that I ran the numbers of 17% inclusive of this deal. When President Trump took office in January, effective tariff rates were 2.5%. Kevin's right. These are consumption taxes. They're going to be borne by low and middle income people who are going to see prices increase by on average $2,800 price increases for a family as a result of these tariffs that are in place. And 30% tariffs on China are lower than 145%, but they are still extremely, extremely high. And they are high on literally everything that the American people buy. So I think that if this is the framework for how we expect these trade deals to go going forward, I think we're in a place where things aren't actually going that well from the perspective of a trade war that we've launched. Though I want to agree with Scott, I think we actually have to give Secretary Bessent a fair bit of credit because he understood that we were in a position that was fundamentally untenable, and he started the process of trying to retreat. But it's a mistake to say that the administration has gotten anything from that retreat. I mean, a lot of what you said, Kevin, you said rumors and innuendo. I haven't heard anything about IP or anything about access to courts as a result of this deal.
Yeah. I mean, meanwhile, even Scott Jennings, right, tried to claim that the market was doing well after the trade announcement. But in reality, it's still worse than it was on Inauguration Day. Play that clip.
My word for it. Don't take Mr. Wonderful's word for it. Take the market's word for it today. They know it's a win. They know we're in a better position. They know we're in a better position.
It only had to do that, and it only rebounded because for the last, so many days since April 2nd, it's been in total instability because of
We're ahead
Donald
of where
Trump.
we were. We're ahead of where we were on April 2nd.
The market is in a worse place today. That chart is very helpful. The market is in a worse place today than it was on Inauguration Day. So the market,
so you're going to pick a date. Where were we on April
positively.
2nd? And what was it year over year?
When the market responds positively, it's always when the administration moves away from the Trump administration's focus on protectionism. That's exactly when the market reacts positively, and that's what we expect.
What you're not liking.
Yeah, she's so smart. Think about what she just said there, that the market does well when we step away from the administration's policies, or, as he likes to call them, concepts of policies. Meanwhile, Democratic Representative Seth Moulton made the fair point that Trump should not get credit for cleaning up his own messes. I mean, it's almost like Munchausen by proxy. Play that clip.
I mean, I don't think that Trump gets a lot of credit for cleaning up his own mess. My 4-year-old gets credit if she cleans up her own mess, but the president, not so much. What are we actually getting here? Donald Trump is weak on China, is the bottom line. He's weak on China. He's been weak on China for a long time. And look,
this whole concept of trade is just weak. It's not just China. It's across the board. The EU gave Trump a fucking beatdown. Canada, the same thing. They're all working with one another in order to offtake all of their products that they were supposedly going to be sending to America. They're going to send it elsewhere. Now, I want to be clear about something. Not all GOP leaders are as delusional as let me rephrase that, stupid Scott Jennings. Rand Paul has been incredibly outspoken about tariffs and Trump's gift from Qatar. Meanwhile, Rand Paul spoke about the new tariff deal. Play the clip.
If he succeeds in lowering tariffs and lessening the obstacles to trade, I'll be right there. I think it's unknown with China. We started out at 145%, then we went to 80%, now we're at 30%. But that's 30% more than we have on currently. So this will be a 30% rise in any goods who are coming from China, and somebody will pay that. It will be the consumer. If the consumer's happy to pay more when they go to Walmart or more when they go to Target in order to get fairness or to teach China a lesson, then so be it. But the proof is in the pudding. We'll see what happens over the next 6 months to a year. So
Yeah, let me be clear about something. I think Rand Paul is setting himself up to be maybe the next nominee for the presidency of the United States on the Republican ticket. He is the first guy who's coming out there and saying it like it is. It is going to be paid by the consumer. Tariffs are paid by consumers, plain and simple. And the more that you listen to Scott Jennings or Kevin O'Leary or Trump or Bessent or the administration lie and tell you it's going to be paid by China or by the country of origin, the stupider it sounds. Meanwhile, he also spoke about how price control can lead to shortages, which is horrible. It's devastating for the average American. Play that clip.
It's only $88 in London, but here it's over $1,000. Should we make the fat shot less expensive, or should we not even really have a fat shot?
the thing is if you want prices to be low and you say the government should just make them fair or low, Venezuela's got a great example of this. And they've had price controls on everything, but you know what? They don't have anything. Price controls lead to shortages. And so in the European countries that have price controls, they're lower because the government mandates that the price can't be the market price. And so they do get a better deal, but they do it by force and by mandate. But what you end up having is a regulated market. So if you want the fat shot, you got to go to the government doctor. You may get it, you may not get it, but you don't go and just get the medicine you want if a doctor will prescribe it. You have to get permission from the government. They'll make you take the cheaper variety for a couple of years. If you have need a heart surgery, you may be dead by the time you get it. That's the European system. That's socialism. And I want no part of it. I don't like high prices, but I think there are ways to bring prices down. What I've suggested, and Donald Trump agreed with me in the last administration, is something called associated health plans, where you join like Costco or Sam's Club, and 44 million members then get someone to negotiate for them, and they bring prices down that way. That's the market doing it. If you do it by government fiat, you'll end up with shortages, and I don't want to be Venezuela.
Okay, no price controls, no fat shots, no rides on the Qatar Force One, and no tariffs. Rand Paul.
You know, as I finish in my Substack, the infomercial presidency hits Riyadh, I finish it off by saying, so what did Trump accomplish? Let me spell it out for you. Nothing for you, everything for him. Presidency for Donald, it's not a job. It's a commercial. It's a QVC special with nuclear codes. It's one long advertisement for his brand, his buildings, his business, and his bloated ego. And in that sense, maybe he did keep his promise, because he did say that this presidency would be the greatest infomercial in U.S. political history. That's why I constantly say, share with your friends, get them active, join the conversation, join the community. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.